Tonight, two major breaking stories as we come on the air. The U.S. Senator handcuffed on camera and the air disaster killing hundreds. The stunning video tonight, moments after takeoff. Hundreds of feet up, an Air India flight loses altitude and crashes in a giant fireball. The jumbo jet crashing into a medical school hostel. Everyone aboard killed, except one man, bloodied but able to walk away. You'll hear what he told his brother about the crash, what he did as the plane was going down as he sat in seat 11A. Plus,
Sir, hands up, hands up.
The news conference takedown, California Democratic Senator Alex Padilla shouting questions to DHS Secretary Kristi Noem, federal agents shoving him out, taking him down, and handcuffing him before later letting him go. Democrats demanding an investigation. Republicans saying Padilla needs to be censured.
We can't take farmers and take all their people and send them back because they don't have maybe what they're supposed to have.
It comes as President Trump says his immigration crackdown is hurting farmers, and he may make exceptions as protests spread from city to city over immigration raids. In Texas, the search for survivors, flash floods trapping drivers in San Antonio, cars swept away, 5 people dead, 2 more missing. Rescuers pulling as many as they could to safety. We meet one woman desperate to find her husband. And the biggest great white ever recorded in the Atlantic, why scientists believe it may be headed to a popular U.S. vacation spot. Nightly News starts right now.
This is NBC Nightly News with Tom Yamas.
And good evening. We are tracking 2 major breaking stories tonight. In Los Angeles, an outcry from Democrats after Senator Alex Padilla was forcibly removed from Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem's news conference after he started yelling questions to her. Video showing Senator Padilla being taken into a hallway, pushed face forward onto the ground with officers handcuffing him. That story in a moment. But first to the plane tragedy in India, where 241 people died. But one man on board miraculously survived, seen right here, bloodied but alive. It was after a Boeing 787, you see it there, crashed shortly after takeoff. You can see it right here quickly losing altitude, then falling into the horizon. And then the ball of fire billowing from the wreckage. The plane's tail wedged into a building. Other parts of the plane everywhere you look as first responders rush to the scene in a cloud of chaos. Senior correspondent Tom Costello covers aviation for us, and he leads us off.
Caught on camera the moment Air India Flight 171 lifted off from Ahmedabad in western India, headed for London Gatwick Airport. But only 600 feet off the ground, it quickly lost altitude and crashed in a horrific ball of fire. Dark black smoke billowing from the nearby neighborhood. Video captured the immediate aftermath as firefighters rushed in. Overhead, this striking image, the plane's tail sticking out of the side of a building as rescue teams frantically searched for victims.
Very tragic and very, very horrific. And even till now, I have to say I'm in a state of shock.
Local authorities say the plane crashed into a medical college hostel just as students were eating lunch. Dozens injured, at least 5 thought to have died. Out of the 242 people on board the plane, the local police say only a single passenger was able to walk away. Viswash Kumar Ramesh, a British national sitting in exit row window seat 11A and traveling with a brother who is still missing. Another brother in the UK spoke to Sky News.
He video called my dad. As he crashed, he said, "Our plane's crashed." All of that. I don't know where my brother is. I don't see any other passengers. I don't know how I'm alive, how I exited the plane.
On board, passengers from India, the UK, Portugal, and Canada. The first crash ever involving the Boeing 787 Dreamliner, a plane with a stellar reputation and 1,100 in service worldwide. Already, veteran investigators are looking at this video of the plane taking off and noticing that the flaps on the back of the wings do not appear to be extended.
Without flaps and slats extended, the wing cannot produce enough lift at low speeds.
The nose of the plane is pointed up, indicating a possible aerodynamic stall, and the landing gear remains down well past the point it should have been retracted. Air India says the captain had 8,200 hours of flight experience, the first officer 1,100 hours. One of them radioed a mayday, but it's not clear who was piloting the plane.
This is a difficult day for all of us at Air India, and our efforts now are focused entirely on the needs of our passengers, crew members, their families, and loved ones.
While Indian investigators will be in charge, British and American NTSB and FAA investigators will assist. Boeing says it is cooperating with the investigation. Of critical importance, the plane's flight data and cockpit voice recorders may provide the clues into what went wrong.
And Tom Costello joins us now. Tom, tonight everyone is asking the same question. Are there any theories on why this one passenger survived?
Yeah, and it may be hard to know right now. This is where he was, seat 11A. This is the emergency exit, and this is business class. Was he catapulted out of the plane when it hit that building? We don't know, but experts say there is not one single seat that is always the safest because it depends where the plane impacts with the terrain, Tom.
Tom Costello leading us off tonight. Tom, we thank you. Now to that bipartisan outrage after Democratic California Senator Alex Padilla was forcibly removed from Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem's press conference. Padilla is saying he was just trying to get answers, while Noem saying he crashed the event looking to create political theater. Here's Liz Kreutz with the video.
Sir.
Tonight, chaotic moments during a press conference by Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem in L.A.
To every single person that has been able to do this.
It all began when California's Democratic Senator Alex Padilla started interrupting her from the back of the room.
I have questions for the secretary, because the fact of the matter is half a dozen violent criminals that should.
Padilla was forced out of the room by security and handcuffed in the hallway. Later, he spoke outside.
I began to ask a question. I was almost immediately forcibly removed from the room. I was not arrested. I was not detained.
We pressed Noem when she walked out.
Why did you detain him? Why was that the action you decided to take?
I'll let the law enforcement speak to how this situation was handled, but I will say that it's people need to identify themselves before they start lunging at people that during press conferences.
Is it appropriate to handcuff a sitting senator that way?
Padilla's Democratic colleagues outraged.
I just saw something that sickened my stomach. The manhandling of a United States senator. We need immediate answers to what the hell went on.
Well, tonight, the White House saying Padilla stormed a press conference, that he wanted attention and blasting it as an immature theater kid stunt. Noem saying she later met with Padilla.
We sat down for 10 to 15 minutes and talked about the fact that nobody knew who he was. If he had requested a meeting, I would have loved to have sat down and had a conversation with him. That coming into a press conference like this is political theater.
If this is how the Department of Homeland Security responds to a senator with a question, you can only imagine what they're doing to farm workers.
And tonight, just 24 hours after video showing ICE agents tracking down a farm worker in a field, President Trump acknowledging his crackdown on illegal immigration can impact businesses like farms and hotels.
You go into a farm and you look, and people they've been there for 20, 25 years, and they've worked great, and the owner of the farm loves them and everything else, and then you're supposed to throw them out, and you know what happens? They end up hiring the people, the criminals that have come in. So we're going to have an order on that pretty soon, I think. We can't do that to our farmers, and leisure too, hotels.
All after protesters opposed to ICE immigration enforcement operations clashed with police in L.A. Mounted police at one point appearing to nearly trample people, while a curfew and state of emergency were declared in Spokane.
All right, Liz, let's go back to what happened to Senator Padilla there. The FBI is now weighing in.
Yeah, Tom, the FBI has released a statement saying their agents assisted Secret Service in briefly detaining Padilla, who they say became disruptive. They say he didn't identify himself and that he wasn't wearing his Senate security pin. And they say that once he was identified, he was released, Tom.
All right, Liz, we want to head to the White House now because all of this is igniting a firestorm among lawmakers in D.C. Let's bring in Peter Alexander. And Peter, the House Speaker now saying Padilla could face consequences?
Yeah, Tom, the Republican House Speaker, that's Mike Johnson, he's condemning Padilla's actions. He called them wildly inappropriate. He's urging the Senate to consider censuring him, something that hasn't happened to a senator in 35 years. Republican Lindsey Graham, he dismissed the incident, saying Padilla, in effect, got what he wanted. But Alaska Republican Lisa Murkowski, she said what she saw is horrible and not the America she knows. Democrats are arguing, as a Senator Padilla had every right to try to question the Homeland Security Secretary Even the former Vice President Kamala Harris, whose seat Padilla filled, saying he was representing his constituents, calling Padilla's brief detention a shameful and stunning abuse of power. Tom, today's episode, the latest escalation in this immigration battle.
Yeah, and this fight likely just getting started. All right, Peter, we thank you for that. We now turn to those devastating storms sweeping across the South. Jesse Kirsch is in San Antonio, Texas, where 2 people are still missing and 5 are dead after rushing waters swept them away.
Tonight, San Antonio, Texas is reeling. Authorities desperately searching for survivors after police say a series of slow-moving storms left at least 5 people dead. Overnight floodwaters overtaking the highway, rescuers moving in. Some areas getting over 6 inches of rain by dawn.
It's just like, this is not for real. It's like make-believe.
Angel Richards says her husband, Stevie, was driving to work around 5 a.m. when he called her from the car.
So it happened like really, really fast. By the time he called and said the car was stalled, and now it's floating. And then I can hear these things hitting up against the car.
She eventually made her way to this creek.
Right by the orange.
Yeah.
Even though it was flipped over and still partially submerged, Richards telling us she's confident that's her car. But she did not know what had happened to her husband.
They were searching the car and said, this is a Cadillac. And I was like, my heart just dropped because that's my car.
The city's fire department says there were at least 65 water rescues.
Authorities tell us a dozen people who managed to escape from vehicles that were in that creek wound up clinging for their lives high up in those trees.
There have been other floods here in the last couple weeks. What made this worse?
Well, we've had a lot of rainfall in the last week and probably 2 to 3 separate events. So the ground was saturated. So I think that just compounded the flooding.
Now storms are looming over Louisiana and Arkansas as police here in San Antonio tell us at least 2 people, possibly more, are still missing. Tom?
Jesse Kirsch in San Antonio tonight. In our series, The Cost of Denial tonight, a doctor's recommended treatment for a cancer patient, the patient's insurance denying that coverage, his wife then fighting for him for months. Aaron McLaughlin has our story reported in partnership with KFF Health News.
Welcome home.
We first met Eric Tennant at his West Virginia home.
You all right?
Yeah, I'm good.
Arriving back from the hospital, exhausted due to serious complications from his stage 4 cancer.
Are you feeling okay?
Yeah, a little bit rough right now, but...
Yeah. Eric, his wife Rebecca, and his doctor had all hoped to get a break from chemo and buy time by getting a treatment called histotripsy, which would use ultrasound waves to target the tumor in his liver.
What does time mean to you right now?
It means everything. Just for my family's sake more than anything.
Approved by the FDA to treat liver tumors in 2023, early studies showed histotripsy to have a success rate of 85 to 95%. But Eric's insurance said no, denying coverage for histotripsy, calling it experimental and not medically necessary.
Well, it was actually scheduled for the 14th, but then we'll have to cancel it.
A father of 2 and a coal mine safety instructor for West Virginia, Eric has insurance through a state plan known as PEIA.
And then you got the second denial? Yes. And the third. And the fourth. What does the word deny mean to you? Deny means we don't value a doctor's opinion, and we don't really care if you live or die.
Rebecca appealed and fought for months, turning to state lawmakers and the media, including KFF Health News reporter Lauren Saucer, who contacted PEIA.
Said, I'm a reporter working on this story. They wanted me to submit questions in writing. We hear nothing for a really long time.
Then NBC News joined in to try to get answers. 1 week after NBC News asked about Eric's denial, a stunning reversal. PEIA approved coverage for the treatment, saying it had requested a second opinion through an external independent review, calling the situation rare and exceptional. Rebecca's feeling?
They only approved it because of NBC stepping in. It's discouraging because I have the time and the patience to do this. A lot of people don't.
I think patients who have navigated this process would say that it feels like the point of it all is to simply drag it out for as long as possible till you run out of treatment options.
PEIA told NBC News difficult decisions regarding medical necessity are made by medical professionals for every appeal of a denial coverage, and not in a manner that is arbitrary.
Do you wonder what could have been?
Yes. If we would have got this 4 or 5 months ago, then, where would I be at now? I'm just fighting for another day.
And Aaron joins us now live in studio. So, Aaron, now it's covered, but it may be too late?
Yeah, that's right, Tom. At this point, Eric has to wait for new scans in July to see if he's even well enough to go forward with histotripsy. It's treatment covered by Medicare and some private plans. Now, when it comes to prior authorization, if you are faced with a denial, there's a good chance your insurer could overturn it if you appeal.
Great advice there. All right, Aaron, we thank you and your team. We'll be right back with our exclusive, the apps that can erase the clothes from photos of people and they look real. Our questions for a top Meta executive about what they're doing to stop it. We are back now with an NBC News exclusive. Meta, one of the most powerful tech companies in the world, telling our Savannah sellers how they're now combating dangerous apps that can turn photos of your children into lewd images.
Meta announcing it is cracking down on apps that use AI to undress people in photos.
We're taking legal action against a company that has been trying to advertise these apps on our platform.
Meta writing in a lawsuit against Joy Timeline, a company marketing these apps, that it was violating Meta policy by displaying ads consisting of nudity and or non-consensual intimate imagery with captions like "erase any clothes on girls" and "click the button for the nudie version." Here's how some of these apps work. Easily upload a normal photo, like someone at prom or graduation, or like this photo of me. Some apps allow you to easily make edits, changing colors or pieces of clothing, or removing them entirely, creating a realistic-looking nude AI image.
One of the things that we're doing to try to address this is to actually work with other members of industry.
Is taking this step, this action, an admission, essentially, that you don't have a handle on this on your platform?
It's not an admission that we don't have a handle. What it is a recognition that this is an adversarial space.
NBC News reached out to Joy Timeline for comment and has not heard back. Even after today's announcement, NBC News found dozens of ads on Meta platforms. Elliston Berry says an AI-generated nude photo was created of her by a classmate using a Nudify app.
Do you remember seeing the photo?
Yes, and these photos looked completely real. To someone that doesn't know me, you wouldn't be able to tell if it was real or not.
Meta says in addition to the lawsuit, it's also developing advanced technology that can help detect more bad actors.
For families who might say this is too little, too late, what do you say?
What I would like to say to them is we are on their side. We want our community to be a safe place for them. We're going to be taking action. We're going to file lawsuits. We're going to continue to develop technology.
Now, the Take It Down Act was just signed into law by President Trump last month. It criminalizes the creation or the circulation of these non-consensual images. That is something that Elliston Berry, who you saw there, was a huge advocate of, Tom.
Savannah, we thank you for that story. When we come back, a deadly house explosion in the Chicago suburbs. This house destroyed. What went wrong? We are back now with a dramatic ending to Harvey Weinstein's retrial in New York. The judge declaring a mistrial on the final rape charge against the movie mogul when the jury foreman refused to join the deliberations. Yesterday, Weinstein was convicted on a separate sexual assault charge and found not guilty on another. Bottom line, though, Weinstein will stay in custody. Also tonight, an explosion leveling this house in the Chicago suburbs. You can see it reduced to rubble. Officials say a 76-year-old man inside died in that blast, and the cause appears to be a natural gas leak. Authorities say they're investigating the cause of the leak. And a warning, if you're going on vacation, meet Contender, the biggest great white shark ever recorded in the Atlantic. This guy's 14 feet long, 1,600 pounds, quite the beast, and on the move. Heading north along the East Coast, O-Search, which tracks sharks, said he was last seen off of North Carolina's coast near Pamlico Sound after swimming from Florida. Okay, up next, there is good news tonight about the kindness of strangers and the surprise that changed everything for this family. Finally, there's good news tonight for one family in Virginia. The special moment one mother surprised her children with a gift they'd never forget.
I want a key. This is mine.
A new home means new keys.
Wait, what?
Yes! And this priceless memory.
Yeah! This is our house! Oh my God!
They were like thinking, okay, Mom, you did it. Like, we have been praying for this every night.
Virginia mom Andrea Koch surprising her 3 kids, Willie, Paige and Haven with their new home.
Are me and Paige gonna have our own room?
No. For years, the family struggled to find a home. At one point, even sleeping in her car. But last year, Andrea says she managed to turn it around, finally giving her kids a permanent home.
Worked 2 jobs to try to stay in a home. And like holidays and birthdays and different things like that, being a single mom, it was hard. But I did it.
Andrea recently posting this video on TikTok, marking 1 year since moving in. The clip going viral.
Thank you.
Leading to strangers donating furniture and bikes for the kids.
We as a people truly have the power in our hands to support each other. You know, it's that simple.
That's Nightly News for this Thursday. Remember, tonight and always, we're here for you. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Tom Llamas. Have a great night. We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.